Glory to God. Welcome. Today I wanted to talk to you about um, stepping out boldly in the prophetic. One of the things that comes with operating in the gift of prophecy is that's not talked about much is the fact that when we do uh, operate in that gift, if you have the gift to get insight from God in order to share with other people and being prophetic, is the fact that you would have to literally walk very, very boldly in that particular office and that gift, because a lot of times everything that's given to you is probably going to go against logic. I've seen it used very irresponsibly. People prophesy, or as some say, prophesy, and just say all kinds of stuff and are very, very loose with their lips and say stuff that they know didn't come from God or they think they did. But if you really feel that you've heard from God and you have a word for a group of people, or if you have a word for somebody in particular, there's a boldness that needs to come out into it. And there can't be fear and timidity. So um, there's a particular instance I was going to talk about today, and maybe two. But we know that first, as the scripture says, that God does nothing. This is in Amos 3, verse 7, I believe, that God does nothing without first um, sharing it with his servants, the prophets. He does nothing in the earth. So when there is a move from God in the supernatural that hits the natural realm, he shares it through the prophets in order to give them insight to share with the individual or to share with people, so they can they can have confirmation as to what's going on, particularly in their spirit as God's working with them, and to have the confidence to move forward when that word does hit and when they face that particular thing in their life. There was an instance where a minister friend of mine that I've known for a long time had kind of slowed up in his ministry a little bit. And God literally gave me a word to call him. This was actually the specific word that God gave me. He said, call him and tell him to press in and diligently work his ministry, and he was going to bless him with a child. That was the word that I heard. Well, I had problems with this particular um, prophecy and delivering it, and this is why. Because I knew that there was a time where him and his wife were having problems having children. They weren't able to conceive. So for me to just give him a word saying that God was going to bless him with a child, that wasn't just a normal word. That meant there was going to be a miracle attached to this as well, because literally for them to conceive would have been a miracle, because I do believe they had been trying for some time. So it wouldn't leave my spirit. And that's another way that you really know that prophecy is real, is because God will give you something and it'll just kind of linger and kind of well up in you, and you just really have to say it, and you won't really feel that comfort and that peace until you tell that person. So I gave him a call and I was like, hey man, how are you doing? It's been a while since we talked, but I really feel like there's something I'm supposed to share with you. And I told him that, God had shared with me for him to just press in his ministry like he never had before. Maybe he's fallen away from it. And he said, yeah, you're right. I haven't been doing ministry the same way. I haven't been doing the same thing, having the same type of meetings and doing the same that I had done, earlier in the years before. And I was like, well, check mark. That's one good sign that I'm doing something, because it did sound like he was slightly convicted, and this was confirming that he had been thinking about, that he needed to really get going in his ministry and operating in his gifts again. And then the other part was the hard part, because the condition, the blessing that was tied to that God wanted me to share, was the fact that he was going to bless him with a child. Bless him with a child if that was the condition of him going through. But I had a problem being able to communicate that with him, because at this point, I was a little nervous. I have to be honest with you. I didn't know what to say, so I said, the Lord told me that if you do this, that he was going to bless you with something that you really desire. And I left it vague like that. Well, we got off the phone, and I left it like that. But when I hung up the phone, with them, and I thought about it. I was like, I really didn't deliver the word the way it was delivered to me, but I felt like it was good enough. Maybe 3 or 4 months passed. I hadn't heard from him again, and I get a text message with him holding a little baby in his arms. Now, this is 3 or 4 months. Now, when we were on the phone, I have a feeling that he would have told me that if he and his wife were pregnant, maybe he would, he probably would have told me that. Or maybe he wouldn't because they were trying to keep it secret. Well, come to find out, they were in the midst of the adoption process. And at that time, when I talked to him, they had been trying to adopt for a long time, and they finally got matched with the child, and everything worked out, and that was it. So that was the confirmation of that particular word. And I just thought about how much of an impact that would have had if I would have stepped out boldly in that prophecy and given him exactly what God had told me. I do believe that the word served its purpose and it did what it did, and maybe he could have made the correlation. But what if I was able to step out and say, you were going to be blessed with a child, and he would have remembered that? Just the glory that God could have gotten, and just the impact in him knowing that God is using the gifts through prophecy and whatever ever gifts to touch him and meet him, and specifically help guide him through life. There was another instance where my daughter and I, we were in Chipotle. And you know how you stand in line in Chipotle when you're about to put all the ingredients in your burritos or tacos or whatever it is. And there was a person that was in front of us that kept looking at my daughter. I mean, you know how like when you have kids with you, people will look at your kids and be like, oh yeah, they're so cute, they're so cute. Well, this was happening like almost too much. This man was just admiring my daughter, and I would smile at him, and he would smile at her. And then finally he opened his mouth. He was like, you're so blessed to have a little girl like that. And I was like, wow, man. Oh, thank you. Yeah, she is a blessing. And then he just kept looking at her and admired her. And then we went to the register, we paid. So then he went and sat down with his wife, and I sat down with my family. And as I was eating the burrito, I kept seeing the man turn back and look at my daughter. And then the wife, I could see him talking to his wife, and she would turn back and look. And all this was happening at this time, and I was like, a word from God welled up in my spirit and said, go tell this man that he too is going to be blessed with a child very soon. I was like, man, God, I don't know this man. I don't want to say this. So I'm sitting there, and I couldn't even take another bite, and I finally had to get up. And I walked to the man, and I was like, man, I'm sorry to interrupt you. It's like, I know you would admire my child and in line, but I have something to tell you. I told him that I was a minister, and I really believe that I heard God speaking to me, and told him that they were going to themselves have a child very soon. Well, the countenance of this man, who was so friendly and looked at my daughter with all this adoration, completely changed. His face grimaced, and he looked completely upset at me. He was like, no, thank you, okay, bye, and just wanted me to leave. I was like, I'm sorry. He's like, I was like, really? I mean, I really believe that this is going to happen for you. And at this point, I felt like I was doing too much. He was like, look, man, look, sir, we can't, okay? We can't. And I was like, okay. Talking about swallowing your words. So what did I do in this point? This is the time where I felt like I stepped out boldly, and that I was really telling this man what I felt that God had spoken to me. And now, mind you, I'm in a part of the United States, South Florida, where about 95 to 97% of the people there are unchurched. So for me to deliver a prophecy was just major, because I don't even know if they believe in God, or if they're believe in Jesus Christ. So I still stepped out and I did it. What happened? I don't know. I just know I sat down, and it was a very uncomfortable meal. I was ready to get out of there. I don't know what happened with these people. I don't know these people before, but I stepped out boldly, and I did, and I believe what God told me to do. If that person had experienced a miracle, which I believe happened, because the same way that God is with me about speaking the word to somebody, it happened there very, very strong. I believe at that moment of sharing that word and stepping out boldly, that in the time they did conceive, if that child came and the woman was gave birth, or they adopted, or something happened miraculously and they had a child, they could go back to that point of reference and know that somebody came and delivered a word to them, which would elevate their faith, which would give them confirmation that God is real and that he works in that way. And then we could have had 2 souls saved and many more, because they could have told their testimony to many, many people. So today, that's what I want to share about with you in terms of whatever gift you have, but especially prophecy, because that's one of my stronger gifts, is when it's time for you to give that word and you know that you've heard it from God. Step out boldly, without fear, without trepidation, and speak it. Don't be lackadaisical in what you say. Don't just say stuff just for reaction. Don't put stuff on your website or your Facebook page just to try to be known as a prophet and this, that, and the other. But use the gift wisely, and it can make a major impact in your life. So God bless you today. I'm going to touch you more, and I just wanted to share this with you at this time. Step out boldly in the prophetic. God, I thank you for the people watching. I pray that they're blessed, that everything that they touch prospers, that they're anointed and they're powerful in every way in their lives. I pray, God, that the people who have fallen away from you or just need a touch from you, that you meet them right now with your Holy Spirit. And we give you thanks for all the things that you're going to do. From this point forward, God, we praise you like we've never praised you before. And the glory and honor belongs to you. It's in Jesus' precious name we pray, and we thank you. And I look forward to seeing you again soon. This is Damian Cox of Damian Cox Ministries. God bless you.